I've got a junkyard CBR250RR MC22 and a SID Chrome toolbox. I'm going to put 2 and 2 together and restore this piece of junk into its former glory. Hi guys, I'm Sam and welcome to ST Automotive. This is episode 1 of the Junkyard CBR250RR MC22 rebuild. As you can see from just a zoomed out video, this bike needs so much work. I mean, it's missing a motor, it's missing a dash, forks, a whole front wheel. Pretty much everything is completely rusted out. But, you know, a little bit of scrubbing, a bit of sandpaper, I'm sure that'll just come out perfectly fine. Unlike the chain, this chain, I mean, a bit of elbow grease might be nice. It's completely cooked. Yeah, I don't think anything would be moving with that chain. But who knows, you know, maybe it'll come out nice. I'm just kidding. I'm not putting that anywhere near my bike ever again. The engine as well, you know, if you looked at it from afar with a squinted eye and you might have been partially blind, you'd think that this engine might be able to go back in the bike and then run. I mean, that's what I thought when I was buying it, you know, with my zero experience and no idea what I'm doing. Unfortunately though, with a bit of expert guidance and eyeballs, I was able to see that it's very far from going anywhere near this bike, and I don't really feel like doing an engine rebuild because I have no idea how to do it. So I've actually gone into all of these parts, and somehow we've been able to find, with the help of the great people at GTS Auctions, another engine that fits the bike. I've already cranked it over because these people know what they're doing, I don't. And apparently it's good. I mean, that's what they said, and I'm going to take their word for it. Headers, on the other hand, don't look quite amusing. They're kind of like the chain, you know, there's not really much you can do. You kind of just throw it in a pool of acid and hope it just disintegrates and doesn't come back. Now this front might be an issue because there's forks somewhere, but yeah, not really helpful. The back wheel's nice and everything though, so that's a plus. Unfortunately, all I can tell you is that back wheels are nice, forks and all that. I can't really tell you anything about these interiors here. I don't really know anything about what's going on in there. I'm sure I'll figure it out along the way and you'll be able to see that journey throughout the episodes. One more thing I have to show you to do with this engine is this substance that came out of my engine. I'm not entirely sure what liquid it is. People tell me it's oil, but I've seen what oil looks like and that is not really it. I mean, yeah, so that's another reason I don't want to go near that engine ever again. Now, to wrap up all my waffle, let's start on with this. Also is another parts bike I've got, where I'm going to mismatch parts from this one into that one, like the front dash, as you can see there, and well, maybe like the whatever that end of the fork is, and yeah, that should be good because the insides of this one are completely rooted, so I won't be using any engine or anything like that, because that would probably be a bad idea. And if we come over here, we got muffler I already took off, and this aftermarket fairing that nearly snapped in half when I tried to take it off, because someone bought this off probably Temu, because it's an aftermarket one that should not be there. So that was amazing. I also took off that back bit because I'm going to replace it with this one that looks a lot nicer and is a lot more complete. Alright, now let's actually start doing some stuff. First thing I got to do is I got to take the clutch case cover thing off this engine so we can put it on the new one that's just over there. Let's do that. I'll just switch cameras and we'll be good to go. You might be wondering why I took that clutch cover off and was putting it on the new engine. Well, this is why. I'm going to try and wash the engine that I've got there and make it look so pristine like new. It might work, it might not work. Let's find out. Now, to make sure none of the holes that lead into the engine interior don't get all wet and clogged up, I'm going to tape over all the holes before I wash it or anything like that. So first I got to wipe with a rag around those holes so the tape will stick. Now I'm just grabbing bits of duct tape I had lying around. You know, you could use pretty much any kind of tape as long as it's really sticky and strong, and just putting it over those holes to make sure no water goes in. Now, after all that exciting stuff, this is the final product and what it should look like before you start hosing it down and spraying it with your brake cleaner and all of that stuff. Now let's give this bad boy a well-deserved soak. All we're going to do is grab some degreaser and then just hose it down with the degreaser and then let it sit for a couple of minutes and we'll see what happens. After letting the degreaser sit for a couple of minutes, now we're going to grab the hose it down. Unfortunately, it didn't do much, so we're going to do it another time and see what happens. Now, before my camera battery died on me, unfortunately, I'm just going to give it a nice little rub down with the cloth before giving it some scraping and some extra good love. Alrighty guys, welcome to this masterpiece. Unfortunately, my camera ran out of battery, so I had to recharge that. So yeah, I'm just gonna let it dry off a bit inside for overnight, and that is all done for episode 1. Thanks for watching. Unfortunately, you've seen all my misfortunes, and you've seen me do a bit of work. But yeah, follow along for all the other episodes, and you'll see a nice looking CBR250 hopefully at the end, or you'll see a sold piece of junk. We'll see.